or IBMer. I just salute to all of those colleagues at that time, because once you are an IBM, you are always busy, and IBM always keeps you busy. But they had developed in 1972 from mainframe developer. They suggested an idea to at that time an IBM, and IBM actually, due to their busy engagement, they didn't actually at that time. They took care of their ideas, and then they started their own on their free weekends as well as weekdays. They developed this particular software in 1972. They started with FI and CO, and later on a BAP development was there, and all other modules are there. So this way, basically, they started their SAP FI, SAP as a software. And after that, during the period of time, right now is second to third largest independent enterprise application software is there. So the word is SAP. It's not a SAP word. The most of the people also pronounced is SAP. The pronunciation is basically is SAP. So what's basically SAP? We will discuss in our today's presentation. So we'll discuss about introduction about SAP. So we'll discuss what is a brief overview of SAP architecture. I'm referring to this particular orientation is relevant to ERP platform. So what is brief overview of SAP architecture? A brief overview of SAP landscape. SAP technical and functional areas are there. Introduction about various modules in SAP. Modules basically refers about like say we have a general ledger, we have accounts payable, we have account receivable, we have a bank accounting, we have a fixed accounting. So these referred in SAP as modules. So introduction about various modules in SAP, introduction of SAP ERP, how basically SAP evolved from last 40 plus years, from you can say from R1 to R2 to R3 to ECC to onwards. So this is basically, I will let you know that what basically and how this evolvement and evolution basically has happened. Then I will also discuss about you the brief about SAP FICO course, what basically SAP FICO course revolves around. What are the training highlights? I will also let you know, and how basically we'll go once the class will started. So what kind of a structure we have, and how basically based on that specific structure, so how in the class, those who can come in the class and those who can join online, so how basically we can refer to these training is called hands-on training. It's pretty much it's not that you can sit and you can watch videos, and I'm not giving you any kind of you definitely have a lot of assignments where basically you hands-on the educational server. So once you hands-on the educational server, based on the assignment, based on the configuration, you develop your configuration in the system, as well as you also I will give you think globally and act regionally. So I will give you some of the assignments based on spreadsheet, based on global design template, as well as based on your home work on a day-to-day basis. And after that, I will take all of your question and answer. So that's basically where actually we are just dealing with that, how basically things basically will go. So what is SAP? The name SAP being a German company is an acronym for System Vendor Product der Vendor Beton. So that's translated to systems. You can see is thing is a plural. Systems, applications, and products in data processing. So how from business to event all the transaction being processed and give you the output in the form of financial reporting, in the form of a management reporting, how these systems basically collaborate with each other in order to give you some kind of a straight line message, some kind of analytical message, some kind of analytical reporting. So that's where basically the SAP stand about. So ERP basically is a third generation set of highly integrated software, means all the modules. The SAP strength is integration. So all of their modules are being integrated, and they are coming into central hub. That central hub is called finance. So finance basically give you all the output regarding your statutory reporting, regarding your management reporting, regarding your board of director reporting and all other kinds of reporting. Basically, you takes care of from financial, and also basically SAP right now is over 200 countries and spread geographically. You name the organizations and SAP is there. That's where basically SAP at this point of time. So what basically ERP software is? ERP basically is a enterprise resource planning software. It drives the business from different component perspective and integrates, and it give you the planning, your production planning, your business, your manufacturing, your sales, your marketing, your human capital management, or aka your HR, how basically everything is being integrated. So ERP is a business solution. It's called Enterprise Business Solutions. Aims to help management. So if the management wanted to see, if they are working over 100 countries and management wanted to see their uniform structural report based on their hierarchical structure, based on their hierarchical needs, or based on a uniform structure across the globe in 100 plus countries based on different time zones, you can deliver all of your reports out of SAP. And then mostly used software packages. You can see SAP is there, BON solutions, which is basically in for global solution is there. PeopleSoft, not Oracle, basically bought PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, Sage, AdPack, company basically on MFG Pro, Lawson, Ramco Marshall, Microsoft Dynamics, etc. So these are mostly used ERP softwares are there. And how basically SAP formed? So as I told you guys earlier, 1972 by five software engineers. So Wendler, Ruther, Hope, Hector, Plattner, Takira, founded in 1972 by five former IBM employees. SAP R3 is the former name of the enterprise. SAP basically name has been evolved and changed over the period of time. So that's why it's information basically you can see over here. And the facts about still best run business, run SAP, and run simple. So that's where the current slogan is there. And SAP basically is an integrated software solution for client server. What is basically client server relationship is there? Client server is a very simple example of a client server relationship is there. Let's say nowadays everyone has an email, so you using as a email. So basically you are serving as a client, and your server basically sitting somewhere in the Google headquarters, Yahoo headquarters, Hotmail headquarters, or their servers in different geographical locations, and how basically their server works. So that's basically is basically acting as a client server. So initially it was acted as a client server, and then later with the passage of time, involvement of the business, because SAP had an opportunity in the past. They give an opportunity to the International Financial Reporting Standard, International Accounting Standard. Basically, they standardize the business processes. So based on this specific reason, so they developed all the business processes, and based on these business processes, the International Accounting Standard basically now following within a very good faith, very high faith, wherever basically they can see SAP is there. So they basically value that particular organizations, and how basically SAP work. So initially it was R1, R2, R3, and now it's an ERP word in ERP words. So basically due to a strong integration approach, so that's where basically the best on business, best work on SAP. And SAP currently working over 200 plus countries, 300,000 plus customers. Their customers are huge. And what is basically proprietary language? The proprietary language basically advanced business application programming, fourth generation language basically is there. So leading global provider of client server business software solution, number one vendor of standard business application software with a worldwide market share of 33, close to 33%. Second to third largest independent software supplier in the world, available in sport around 30 to 40 languages are there. Eight of the top US organization right now currently are using SAP. You name the organization and SAP is there. Pretty much 95+% of all pharmaceutical company they are using SAP. Food industry they are using SAP. Defense industry they are using SAP. State industry you can using an SAP. Your USP PS is using SAP. Your all telecommunication company using SAP. as well as you name it, and SAP basically is there. Even your all the FedEx, USPCS, UPS, all of your motor vehicle engine companies, they are using. So as SAP pretty much is nowadays, SAP pretty much everywhere. So it also give you the facts how best run business run simple and on SAP. So 300,000 customers in 200 plus countries, market capital 100 billion plus at this moment. That's basically overall share. 80% of the SAP customer are small, medium enterprises are there. SAP customer includes 87% of the Forbes Global 2000 companies. Is a big number. 98% of the 100 most valued brands, 100% of the Do John's top scoring sustainability companies, SAP customers produce 78% of the world's food, 82% of the world's medical devices, 69% of the world's toys and games, 74% of the world total transaction revenue touches an SAP system. You can see two-thirds of the world total revenue somewhere or other it's touched in SAP system. So SAP touches around 16 to 17 trillion of retail purchases around the world. So these are the high level facts. And if you wanted to come into that specific ERP industry, still it's a large scope and you can enjoy your career like anything. And how basically it works? So it's a very simple architecture structure is there. So you can see the very first layer, which is basically is here is a database layer. So now you can see DB2 is there, Oracle is there, HANA itself, SAP database is also there. And on top, on second layer is called application layer. And the third layer, which is called presentation layer. Presentation layers mean graphical user interface is there. So these are the architect, how basically you can see their integration is there, how can you can see their approach is there. So based on their ERP platform, in ERP platform, this way basically it work. And the three-tiered SAP architecture plus ABAP are different pronunciation is there. So ABAP or ABAP mean Advanced Business Application Programming, fourth generation language is there. You can see at the very first layer, which is database layer, ABAP program, and data storage is there. Sometimes we have to write some of the program in order to get some of their retrieval data, and then how different applications basically work. So based on the ABAP language, the developer writes some codes, and based on the development of these specific codes, so execution basically is happen, and presentation layer basically will give you the output screen and will give you the presentation and what kind of a data basically you wanted to retrieve. And being SAP FICO functional consultant, you are not concerned about how basically these developers work and how they will give you the output. You are not a developer, you are not a technical person, but you are a functional consultant. And what functional consultant mean? Functional consultant mean you only need to know how this particular functionality of the software basically will work based on different modular approach. When I say modular approach means you wanted to know the functionality of general ledger. What are the functionality of a general ledger? If the client business is across the globe, so what kind of a things I need to know while before I go on the floor or before I go and join the company, I wanted to know how their global business basically works. So we need to know their functionality. We need to know the business approach. We need to know these are the things basically we discuss, and that's basically where basically the learning is started. You didn't need to go any kind of it's called coding. You're not a developer, you're not a technical person, but you need to know the functional skill set of that specific SAP FICO course. So what is NetWeaver? I just wanted to give you that how and where basically this particular platform stands and how basically where we wanted to work. So we wanted to know the foundation. Let's say if you wanted to develop a house and if you wanted to purchase a house and if you wanted to go for your family, you definitely wanted to know that, okay, this is my two-story house or three-story house. I just wanted to know what is the foundation of that specific house and where this particular community is there, in which specific town I wanted to be in. So you wanted to know all of these details. In the same fashion, you wanted to know if I am dealing with a global business and if I wanted to provide a global business solutions, to my client, I wanted to know what is its foundation. Its foundation is very straightforward and simple. So we have a foundation blocks are there. So from integration perspective, how this software being basically integrated, if let's say I have a lots of process, I wanted to see how my processes integration basically is happen. If I have a lot of applications, so I wanted to see how my applications basically being integrated. If I have a lot of information flow is coming into my system, so how this information basically is there. If I wanted to connect to different people, so I know that you can also connect through people integration, and that platform is called your SAP NetWeaver. And that NetWeaver, and based on that specific technology, I have just given you a very high level information that if you wanted to connect through application platform, so SAP provided you a BAP, its own language, as well as this is called Java-based language is also basically is their database, and OS abstraction layers and all other things basically is there. We are not concerned about, but at a high level, you should know that how basically this technology basically is being worked. Process integration, business process management, integration broker, and then information integration, business intelligence, knowledge management, master data management, and how basically from people integration perspective, portal, collaborations, all kinds of details. Once basically you will see your foundation, and then you can easily manage these stuff accordingly. So technology wise, SAP ERP Enterprise Resource Planning is basically built on SAP NetWeaver. So that NetWeaver here you can see, just take out the name My. It was used earlier, first 8 years where 2004 and onwards where basically use My, and now basically you can see SAP ERP system basically is here. And here supply chain management is there, customer relationship management is there, supplier relationship management is there, product lifecycle management is there. Here basically this ERP system is there, and this basically NetWeaver solution is there. So everything from application perspective, from people integration perspective, from NetWeaver perspective, all this information is being connected through this particular platform. That's the reason at a high level I just also wanted to give you the information that how from different sources all the information is being flown into a central hub, and that central hub will basically give you an output of statutory reporting, management reporting, as well as board of director reporting, as well as other reporting. You can find it out through this particular hub. This is basically the base of NetWeaver, and that basically NetWeaver base basically is also gone into your next era embedded platform, which is basically S4 HANA, is also basically going in the same fashion. And over there, once I will go into, if you are interested, then definitely I will also walk you through then what basically the other design of S4 HANA is there. So this is basically R3 to ERP landscape, how basically landscape is look like. So here basically pretty much each and every industry have a three different systems are there. So those three systems basically, first system is called development system, second system basically is a QA system, and third system basically where basically the production related all of day-to-day functionality transaction basically is happening, and those transactions basically always happen based on the requirement of the clients. And how basically we always develop all kind of configuration, all kind of a testing in this client. Testing basically again is happen on the second client, is happen regressively on this particular client, and from there data basically is moved to production after cutover, and lots of other activities are there. So from IT perspective, how basically from system perspective, ITS servers are there, web-based Java servers are there, Java servers are there, web GUI are there, these are presentation server, and how from data basically is going, and how basically we are testing, and then application server, and all this information basically is happen. So this way basically information is flown. And SAP landscape basically is there, and how SAP landscape is look like. So we have a development system. In development system, you can see type of users. Developers, you are not developer. Yes, you are a consultant. So basically, you are not only consultants of finance. We have other consultants like sales and distribution consultant, material management consultant, HR consultants. But those consultants are called functional consultants. Key users from business. Sometimes we also invite their key users. Sometimes they are technical people too. So type of work: customizing, development testing, unit testing. Quality assurance is called QA. type of users, developers are there, consultants are there, key users, and type of work, integration and quality testing is there, and production system, type of user, end user, type of work, productive execution of transaction with level, with real business data, etc., etc. All this information basically is there. So this basically SAP ERP system, a very simple operations model I have just given you. I have just put together that how this system from ecological perspective, from system perspective, from integration perspective, simple acronym perspective, simple information perspective, how this whole system basically works. You have operating system, you have a basis. Basis basically is a network administrator people who basically manage the servers. On top of that, we have our applications. All the applications are written in that specific language. And then on top of that, all of the functional modules, our functional modular approach are there. You can see HR is there, finance is there, sales and distribution is there, CEO mean controlling management is there, material management is there. This is called ERP system. So basis, what is the basis? Basis is a middleware. Basis is like an operating system for SAP. It's just between the ABAP for code and the computer's operating system. SAP likes to call it as a middleware because it sits in the middle and coordinate and communicate to all other system. And Basis provides a runtime environment. So when we say runtime environments, we have a dev, we have a QA, we have a productions. So if you wanted to copy the data from your production environment to your sandbox to your development to QA, they basically run all of their runtime environment. And also the coding is there, some of the other information is there. Above four programs don't access operating system functions directly. Instead, they use basis functions to perform their operations. And then we have, it's called SAP ERP applications, and functionality exists distinctively in two areas. That two areas, very simplified perspective, you guys are technical. You guys are not technical. Again, you guys are not technical. You didn't need to write any kind of a code. You are a functional consultant. When you say functional, you need to know the functionality of that specific application. When I say application, application means financial application. Under financial application, you have a general ledger, you have accounts payable, accounts receivable, banking, asset accounting. So that's mean you need to know the functionality of the software, how we configure if the business is like this way, how we configure that specific requirement if the business having that specific requirement. You didn't need to write a code. You just have to select some certain boxes, some certain parameters, and you have to put some input, not from coding perspective. You are not a technical, but you are a functional consultant. And technical consultant, who are technical consultant? All the ABAP programmer, Java programmers, all because Java now it's also basically utilized in SAP Word 2. Administrators, all administrators means if you wanted to manage the SAP Word network administrator in order to control the systems based on your development, QA, and productions, you need to know. So those are called administrator, but you are not an administrator, you are not a programmer. So from programmer perspective, above four, advanced business application programming, fourth generation language. From administrator perspective, you have a basis. So basis basically provide you all this information, as I discussed earlier. From navigation perspective, here you can see at the top SAP login pad is there. So that's once the TekTaurus Education company will provide you your username and password of ERP platform based on your server details, application server details, and all other details. Once you log in, you will get this kind of a login on your desktop or laptop. So once you click on the laptop, then another information basically will pop up, and you are logging on after putting your username and information. Then this first screen will pop up, and that first screen you can see at the top. You can see your menu bar. Then you have a toolbar. Then you have a title bar, SAP Easy Access menu, where all the user, you as well as business user. Again, basically you design the system based on the business requirement. So this specific field basically is relevant to your business, not relevant to you. As a functional consultant, we have another screen where basically we configure their system. So that first screen basically is only meant for your user. And then SAP standard menu tree is there. Here you can see office, logistics, accounting. If you navigate, then all the accounting modulars or modules basically will pop up. Then we have human resource management is there, logistics applications. These are different applications are there. Then here you can see status bar. Status bar is showing QAS, mean is a quality server. The name of the client is called client 300, and that's other information is given, and here session number is given, client number is basically is given. So these kind of information you will get it out once you are working on the ERP platform. And before you go into the project, let's say you are going into this, sometime most of the business consultant, they either join at this stage or they join once everything basically is done and go live and production support basically is applied, they join at this phase. So before we go into that specific, so every software have a life cycle. So in ASAPs, we have called accelerated SAP methodology. A mean accelerated. Why it's called accelerated approach? Because before you guys join, so we the always the client and the implementation partner called system integrated, they work together. They prepare basically the project preparation, and after project preparation, when project basically is finalized, then they go into a second stage called business blueprint. In business blueprint stage, basically the system integrated, the consulting companies or implementation partner, they cohesively worked with their users, especially very senior level user. So they let them know about their SAP system and they get their information of their system. The document has been created, and then that document has been signed off, and then also in that specific document, business also has to input a lot of their data. Once it's basically signed off, then all the consulting partners, all the consulting team, all the system integrator, they go into a realization phase or a build phase. In that specific phase, so whatever they have signed up, then they start building up the baseline configuration. Once the baseline and all other configuration is there, then we also invite in the fourth phase, so where cutover activity basically started, then testing team is also involved, then business team is also involved. Then we have a different type of a 3 to 4 tiers of cycles basically are there, and based on these cycle approach, then basically we decide that it's a go live or it's a no go live decision. When it's a go live, then basically the system based on their existing requirement, based on their new requirement, once the system is basically is built, so that basically depends upon from 8 months to a 1 year, 1.5 year, or 2 years of implementation. Basically depends upon what kind of a volume and how basically they wanted to do their business. And then we handed over the system to the end party, the business, and then business has to decide if they are working globally. Then we also suggest them to go out on a first develop their global template, and after global template, each region basically they rolled out their business as it is. So that's basically is called ASAP methodology and how basically is work. Most of the time you guys will join at this stage or at this stage. From functional perspective, as I have told you earlier, so we have a financial application, we have a logistics application, and we have a human resource application. But you being a SAP FICO consultant, you are only concerned about your financial application. So human resource, I'm just giving you, if you are living in a neighborhood, you should know that who are your neighbor. So in that respective case, in SAP FICO, who are your, from where you are getting all the data? You are getting all the data from your logistics application, from your human resource application, as well as based on, depends upon the, it's called the needs of your client. So human resource applications, HR module includes support on salary, how the salary basically is structured, payroll administration is there, how the work schedule basically is done, and how the related taxes, employee benefits, employment law, and that basically is a country specific applications are there, how basically you have to use it. And HR module basically personnel management, payroll, time management, travel management, training and event management. So these are the HR module basically are being implemented, and you should know that what kind of integrations with SAP they have. From logistics application perspective, logistics basically deals with three other functional areas. It includes sales and distribution, production planning, material management, warehouse management, quality assurance, environment, health, and safety, especially manufacturing industry. If you wanted to see what basically their roles are, and being a finance consultant, how all the financial data is coming from sales and distribution. You should know that production planning perspective, you have a product costing, and you should also know that from bill of material perspective, how your flow basically is coming from production planning. From material management perspective, how your procure to pay work stream basically is work. And from your sales and distribution perspective, how your order to cash basically is worked. And from your record to report perspective, you should also know how your product costing is working, and product costing is strongly tied back to your production planning. And you should also know from how their close integration with your warehouse management, quality management, etc. That's why these logistics applications are also powerful, and you should know in ERP platform how they are strongly and cohesively integrated with each other. From language perspective, we have ABAP 4, basically SAP R3 architecture is there. So based on that specific architecture, you should know by at this point of time, you know that we have a database is there. So we have application layer is there. We have a presentation layer is there. And based on this one, so we have based on this specific architecture, how this specific table of each and every modules like journal ledger, accounts payable, account receivable, fixed asset, cost center, profit center, profitability analysis, project accounting, as well as your project costing, how these day-to-day transactions are being stored in different tables, and how these different tables basically are being integrated in order to give you the output. That's why above for development, workbench is there, data dictionary is there, internal tables are there, transactions are there, data transfers are there, reports are there, SAP scripts are there if you wanted to give some of the input and output, and if you wanted to go in order to give and send some email communications, email notifications, some other. So that's where scripts are also basically very powerful and helpful. An overview of integration technology, how SAP basically connect to SAP system, SAP to non-SAP system. So we have integration technologies are there, ALE,